What's going on, gang? Wanted to make a quick video. My buddy Brandon suggested a film noir to me, and I watched it, and it's often credited as the first film noir, and it is 1940 Stranger on the Third Floor, directed by Boris Ingster, and it stars John McGuire, and it has the infamous Peter Lorre, who plays a dastardly character, as he often does, but he doesn't have a main role in this, but he has a very iconic role, very memorable, and this was my first time watching it, like I said, and wow, it blew me away to the point that I really wanted to make a video on it, and I don't know a lot about this movie. It was very brief. It was like an hour and 7 minutes, I want to say. I watched it streaming somewhere for free online. It is available on DDV. I don't think that it has a US Blu-ray high definition release. I don't think it does. So 1940, it was pretty early. It came out a year before the Maltese Falcon, and it still had all of the, classic film noir elements that you expect. And it was very, especially this one sequence in this movie, it was very reminiscent of German Expressionism, which I have been reading about. And this was just like a perfect example of that. So in this movie, we have a newspaper reporter that is played by John McGuire. His name is Mike. And I guess he's trying to get his big break. He lives in like a boarding house. He rents a singular room in this house. And he has a girlfriend named Jane, and they really want to live together, but he's broke, so he has to do better to buy a house, and then they can get married. And that is kind of his deal. There's an early scene in a courtroom, and Mike, the newspaper reporter, is basically standing witness against Elijah Cook Jr. I just watched him recently in I Wake Up Screaming. What a great character he is. Very distinct, very good actor. So he's standing trial for murder because some guy that worked at a diner or a cafe or something was found murdered. So Mike discovered, I think his name's Joe, Elijah Cook Jr.'s character, standing over this murdered guy, slashed his throat, and blood dripping into the cash register. And he didn't see him commit the crime, but he saw him standing there over the murdered body, and now he's bearing witness. And so the dame, his girlfriend Jane, is she shows up to the trial, and she's just very bothered by the fact the jury is not really giving this guy that's on trial a fair chance because her boyfriend's witness. And he, that's pretty much an open and shut case. He saw the guy standing there right after he was killed. So, it doesn't sit right with her, and she's kind of upset, and it seems that she's kind of upset with Mike. It begins to eat away at Mike's conscience, and he has a dream. He goes to bed. He has a dream about, basically a nightmare about if he were in the same situation. So he comes home, and his neighbor, that they share a wall, and, I live in an apartment right now, and you learn a lot about your neighbors, and you learn their habits, and you learn things about them that you wish you didn't know. And whenever your neighbors change their habits, it's sometimes very apparent. And he knew, he comes home and this guy's always snoring. He snores and he hears him through the walls. And he comes home this one night and he's not snoring, and he immediately thinks, what if he's dead? And then he begins to have nightmares about getting framed for his neighbor's murder. He wants to go and check on him at first, but then he hears a voice, his inner thoughts saying, oh, like, you can find fingerprints anywhere. So before he has his little nightmare, he's already thinking, he's kind of paranoid, like, wow, I could be framed for murder. Like, maybe it happened to this guy, it can happen to me. And so then he has like a fever dream, and that was a really, really great sequence. There were so many great images in this dream. The way that they did the dream was really creative, but the imagery was just so striking. I don't know everything there is to know about film noir by a long shot, but I know that it has very distinct imagery, and it was just very impactful, very dramatic. The lighting, all of it was so intentional and so artistic, and it really captured the genre, I think, perfectly in this entire dream sequence. It was just so orchestrated too. There was a scene where it's basically like I said, a fever dream or a nightmare. There's this one part where he is in court and all the jurors stand up and tell him that he's guilty. They all say it once, synchronized. Just things like that. With the lighting whenever he was in the jail cell, it wasn't an actual cell. It was kind of like a dream-like implication of a jail cell. You knew that it was supposed to represent that, even though it was just a big, empty room. But there was a shadow of bars. It was just I was like, this is amazing. This is artistic. Wow, what a scene that was. And it was pretty long. It was a pretty, good sized scene. And so he wakes up from this dream feeling guilty, and then he does check on his neighbor. He doesn't worry about the fingerprints at that point. He's like, I need to do something. So he checks on his neighbor, and yeah, he's dead. And then he sees the stranger on the third floor. So there's this really strange looking man with, as he described it, bulging eyes. I forget, he said like, something about his lips. And then he said, and a white scarf, very ominous. But so it's Peter Lorre. He chases him out the building, and then he reports it to the police. And the police, he is a reporter. So he has connections to the police. They know him. He talks to the DA. The DA is like, you found both of these murdered bodies. So there's a connection right there. So they take him in and they arrest him. So now his girlfriend is basically, cold calling the neighborhood, going door to door, asking people and walking everyone she passes by on the street. Have you seen a man with bulging eyes? I don't know him. I don't know his name. I've never seen him before. He has bulging eyes and a white scarf. And they're like, no. And then she bumps into him in a coffee shop. And, wouldn't you know it, he orders a hamburger, and I want the meat raw. What's with this guy? His screen time is very brief in this movie, but wow, was it impactful. The hamburger raw, what did he say? The only person that was ever nice to me was a woman. She's dead now. Well, okay, creep. Wow, what a gift he was to cinema. No one could replicate that. But I will say, and I've read a few reviews about this movie, and some people do not like the ending. I loved the ending. I will not spoil it, but I found it very surprising. I thought that it was creative, and I didn't see it coming. I mean, and I don't think I was the only one. And if you have seen this, you know what I mean. It's very suspenseful. It's a thriller. It's very dark. There's no gore or anything in this movie. It's all implied. They describe it off camera. But wow, if it doesn't pack the same punch as if they had. So I had to talk about this because I loved it. I know that it is a piece of film history. I know that it has been reviewed and talked about at much higher levels than this, but hey, I'm on a film noir kick, and my good buddy suggested an amazing one, so I had to share it with Holly Yins. So let me know what you think about it, and I will see you next time.
Omelette du fromage.